Welcome to this week's episode. It's all about date night and steakhouses. But why go out? It's a beautiful evening. Let's stay home and have date night at home. Stay tuned, and I'll tell you how. So in this week's episode, we're going to look at how to have date night at a nice steakhouse, but it's at your house, of course. And we're going to look at 3 different cuts of steak. We're going to look at a filet mignon, a New York strip, and then another one that's going to be a little bit of a stretch for us. We're going to look at something that's a little more difficult to find, and we're going to also pair it with a wine that's going to take just a little bit of research, but I'll tell you where to find the wines. So 3 steaks, 3 wines, and you'll be able to enjoy it. Let's take a look. Well, let's take a look at probably the most famous steak first and which wine to pair it with. And that would be the filet mignon. Again, I'm going to keep it very simple. All 3 steaks, I only put salt, pepper, and a little bit of olive oil. No marinade, no blue cheese on top. You absolutely can, but I want to keep it super simple so I can let my wine shine, just like my steak is going to be the standout of the show. So for the filet mignon, it doesn't have a lot of fat, as you know, and it's soft and it's supple, and it could go with so many wines, but I decided to go with a Napa Valley Merlot. So this one is medium-bodied, a little bit of a full body. It has a rich plum, soft texture, not too much acidity, just a really juicy, lovely wine that I think will pair lovely with your filet mignon, and hopefully your significant other will enjoy it too. For the second wine, I'm going with one of my new favorite cuts. I've been trying to keep an eye on my fat intake, but I still like to splurge, and steak night and date night certainly calls for that. So I'm going to do a New York strip, and this time I'm going to serve it with the Malbec from Argentina. This is an excellent wine from Catena, and you can find this one definitely at the grocery store, and you should be able to find it at, say, a Total Wine or a fine wine retailer. Both wines so far that we've looked at. And both wines are definitely affordable. They fall within our budget of being well under $30 a bottle, which is nice because remember at that steakhouse, like Morton's and Burns and BLT, when you choose your wine, it's going to be considerably more expensive than you pay for retail. So again, this is sort of a nice splurge for us without having to spend too much money. The Malbec is going to have just what we need to get through the New York strip, which is a great steak choice. If you haven't had it already, I highly recommend it. It has strong beef flavor without being too much fat, and it shines when you grill it. It can really take that high heat. So I'm going to go again with the Malbec. And there's another episode where I feature wines for grilling, and the Malbec is in that one too. So check out that episode if you get a chance. Now for our third wine, this is where I'm your wine guide, so I want to explain or give you an alternative that maybe you haven't tried yet. So it was a few visits to France where I realized how much they enjoy the hanger steak. And it's still a little harder for us to find here in the States, but if you go to an organic butcher or maybe something like a Whole Foods or Balducci's or Wegmans, you should be able to find it. So ask the butcher, say you would like to grill hanger steak, and he or she will give you something that is just, I think, a rare treat and nice for you to try. So it doesn't have a lot of fat on it, but it's just so soft and has a wonderful texture that I think you're really going to like it. Now for this wine, it's date night, and we're splurging and doing steak night at our house. And my wife loves the Cab Franc from France. and she especially loves them from the Loire Valley. And I think it's going to work for our hanger steak because it has enough acidity that just really cuts through any of that sort of fattiness that's in the steak, but still complements that very strong beef flavor. In fact, if you could try all of them, you'll notice that the hanger steak probably has the beefiest taste, if you will, of all the 3 steaks we're looking at. So a Cab Franc is going to be a little harder to find, but not too bad. I got this one from Total Wine. So we have 3 wonderful wines for steak night dinner at your house, a wonderful excuse for date night. Enjoy. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode, all on steak night at a fancy steakhouse, but you stayed home for date night. Remember, if you liked this week's episode, remember to subscribe, share it with your friends and family, and then look forward to next week's episode. Well, all this talk about wine, you know what happens. Makes me thirsty. So until next time, cheers.